Hi, welcome back to Ed's Garage. I wanted to make a short video as a follow-up with some data points, or as Derek from Vice Grip Garage would say, I've got updates, but I've got some data points after installing the engine oil temperature gauge in my 2008 Yukon XL Denali. That's a 6.2 liter L92 engine. So on a previous video, and I'll put a link in the description here, I went through problems that I had where my crankshaft position sensor was failing when I was towing. So I developed a theory that the additional load on the engine from towing was creating additional engine heat, although the coolant temperature gauge was not showing that increase in heat. So I went through the project of installing a engine oil temperature sensor and had been tracking that. So this past weekend, I got my first strong data point. The date was May 22nd. And what we did was we drove 205 miles from our Chicago suburb house up to Green Lake, Wisconsin, where my boat was stored. On the drive up, I was able to watch the engine oil temperature gauge the whole time, and I'll insert a little bit of a graphic here to summarize how things looked. But in essence, the entire drive up, we would peak out at about 206 degrees for engine oil coolant temperature. So the 6.2 does not have a separate oil cooler on it. Take 6 quarts of oil. I always run Mobil 1 full synthetic. So 206 was the highest we hit in the 205 miles going up there. The ambient temperature at that time, because we left at 8 o'clock in the morning, the ambient temperature on this day was 56 to 58 degrees. Once in Green Lake, we got the trailer hitched up, the boat. My boat's older but fun. She's coming in. She's got a 7.4 liter big block in it, so a little heavy in the tail end. My estimate is that I'm towing about 5,800 pounds with that. However, and I shared this in the earlier video, my 6x12 enclosed cargo trailer only weighs 1,500 pounds empty, but I get worse mileage towing that cargo trailer empty than I get towing this 5,800 pound boat. And I chalk that all up to the aerodynamics. That cargo trailer, although it's light, it's just a brick wall that I'm pulling down highway speeds, where the boat is extremely streamlined and it cuts the air quite well. Something that supports that very well is whenever I am towing the cargo trailer at highway speeds, the rear hatch glass, the window on the back of the Denali, we'll hear some whistling just due to the wind pressure that's being built up against the trailer. Where, you know, the boat, I can get that thing up to higher rates of speed and never have an issue, and everything is good with that. So hitched up, towed 5,800 pounds all the way home. Naturally, it was afternoon now by the time we were towing home. Ambient temperatures got anywhere from, I think we started at 59 degrees, and the highest we hit was 65, so still rather cool for towing temperatures. But very shortly into the drive, around Green Lake is a little bit hilly, It didn't take us 4 to 5 miles, and that engine oil temperature shot up to 226 degrees. And throughout the entire 3.5 hour tow home, the peak that it hit was 231 degrees. So clearly, my theory that I'm generating a lot more engine heat when I'm towing turned out to be true. It doesn't show on the coolant gauge because, the car has enough coolant, but since I had a faulty crank position sensor, that was enough to get going. Now, what surprised me is the engine, when I had problems, it was dying when I came to idle. And here, monitoring the engine oil gauge, the coolant or the oil temperature gauge, it is RPM related. So what I mean by that is if I come to a stoplight or a stop ramp where that's where I was having problems, the engine oil temperature starts to drop because the RPMs are dropped. It goes up when RPMs are up, and specifically there's an additional load on the engine going uphill, etc. So although sometimes there were correlations between transmission temperature and engine oil temperature, that wasn't always the case. There'd be times when the engine oil temperature would go high, but the transmission temperature was dropping down. So with these data points, and again, I'll insert a graphic on the two different temperatures that we're running, but it made me start thinking, okay, to go from 206 to 231, I should probably go install an engine oil cooler. But then I stopped to think, all right, what is the normal temperature? And I came across a article. It was from Motor Trend. Sorry, I dropped down the first page here, so I don't want to pause. I can't quote who the author was, but 3-4 years ago, Motor Trend had a article that they published, and I found it online, where they say that you want engine oil temperature to break 212 degrees because that's a boiling point of water, and if you've built up any condensation, you want to burn that off. They comment that a conventional motor oil will tolerate some temperatures up to 250 and is starting to break down over 275 degrees. However, when you're using a full synthetic, which of course is what I'm using with the Mobil 1, that will withstand some temperatures in excess of 300 degrees, where some hardcore racing and using ultra-thin race-only synthetics can go up to 350. So caveat, or the summary I'm walking away with, although I am going up and towing was creating additional engine heat, when everything's working fine, it's not a concern. I don't need to add a engine oil cooler because 231 degrees running on Mobil 1, that's not getting to the point where I'm going to have any concern. So that was what I was looking to see, and just thought I'd share that. If anybody is out there, maybe you want to know, hey, what's going on with the engine when you're towing, without going through the issues of installing a oil temperature gauge. So that's all for now. If this was helpful for you, please consider liking and subscribing. Just starting out, and would like all the support that I can get. So thanks very much. Bye.